though. Now gives it to Mapley, who sends it on its way towards goal. The big run on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Devils come storming home after going missing in the first half, but it wasn't enough to get us the win. But maybe a massive step in the right direction in crazy conditions. This is the Devil's Den, the For Fans by Fans podcast, where we talk nothing but the Tassie Devils. And a massive thank you to our sponsor, bets.com.au. Please remember to gamble responsibly. I'm JD. This is Fred. Mate, another close one up in Penguin. We didn't get the chocolates. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling that you've got to get off to better starts, mate. You can't just play 3 quarters of footy by the look of it. But can I start the show off on a bit of a somber note? I want to send a big heartfelt condolences to Nathan Fitzgerald, who passed away after a footy accident in Melbourne the past week. So my thoughts are out to his family, his friends, the footy club and the community. It's bloody tragic to hear this, and really sorry it's happened, and I just hope that people that might be struggling get the help and talk about their feelings about what transpired. So yeah, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, it's an awful thing when these things happen. These people rock up every week for the love of the game, and to ultimately lose your life playing the game you love. It's too soon, and we hate saying it. So yeah, condolences to all Nathan's family and friends. Our thoughts are with you. All right. On that note, Fred, let's get to another somber note in the breakdown of the game against Box Hill. All right, our first game up on the northwest coast. We played against Box Hill at Dial Park Oval. Roughly 3,200 Devils fans packed the ground. The scoreline 10-11-71 to 11-10-76. And it was a wild, windy day. It was really odd because there was a heavy breeze blowing to the left-hand side of the screen as you were watching, but that wasn't necessarily the end where all the goals were being kicked. But when they did go for goal down that right-hand end of the screen, it was wild. You just have to go and have a look at Brandon Leary's shot at goal, which went basically from one behind post to the other one in the wind. It was absolutely nuts. How did you see it, Fred?
Yeah, look, I just had a bit of a tease there earlier, and we saw a team that come out and were in Box Hill Hawks they've worked us out. I think a lot of clubs have worked us out, and they know that if they come out and just put everything they've got and run in waves and just really be clean with the ball, they will get on top of the Devils. And that's really unfortunate because we're going to have to, I'm not saying our defence is bad from the mids to the half-backers and all that. This is what I'm kind of saying is that we're going to have to develop something to slow that overlap running. I think that's what really does kill us, is the overlap running and the willingness to get back. I tell you what, if it wasn't for Nick Williams and Chaplin and a couple others, I think the score would have been quite blown out, to be quite honest, because they played a monster effort, even though their stats don't show too much on the kicks and handball side of it. The defending and the punching and the continual harassment of their forwards was excellent. And that's what basically got us back in the game, because we had that harassment and then we had the slingshot going the other way, which scored our goals. And we did unfortunately, we had a lot of opportunities to get in front and take the lead back for some set shots, but it was either the wind or the yips or whatever, and with the game just got away from us a little bit out of reach, and that's pretty much sums up the game in a nutshell.
I'm glad you brought up Nick Williams then, because he had a monster game, even though his stats weren't sort of jumping off the sheet. He only had the 16 disposals, nothing really outstanding, but he just seemed to be in everything. And it's so good because he's been a bit quiet the last month or so, I reckon, Nick Williams, and he was probably one who needed a bum pat 1 week. But he was absolutely outstanding. And we needed it because, like you said, we got absolutely smashed in the first half. Aiden Schubert got off the leash. That young Anderson, he just looked unstoppable for a quarter and a half, and then we didn't see him again. And Jezza said something to him at halftime because they came out and they were playing Devils football. We started tackling, we started harassing, we started running in numbers. There was one occasion where Kai Cameron tackled one bloke and just about buried his head in that Penguin sand. It was just classic Devils footy and what we've been trying to do, and I'd just like to see a bit more of it.
Yeah, I also know, like, it kind of shows how reliant on Hugh Dixon we are too, because whoever was playing on him, I forget his name. He was a big, tall, baldy fella, I think.
That was that Sophrinides.
Yeah, he was excellent. Sorry to say this on a Devils podcast. He was really good. He studied him. He played off his hip. He give him the room to think that he let him, keep the distance so he didn't body up on him, so he could jump at the ball. He knew he had him athletic wise, so he was really, really good. I think he was probably the difference in the first half, especially, because he was excellent. And it just shows the heavy reliance on Hugh. There probably were stages where they should have probably put him up the ground a bit earlier, put him at half, centre half back, or get him floating between, centre half forward and half back sort of thing, just to open the game up for Jed Hagen and a couple others that were down in the forward line. So yeah, it was a really, really telling thing, and Menzie really didn't have a huge impact. He had a good impact towards the end, but it was uncharacteristically quiet, Menzie. But
absolutely,
we know he'll bounce back.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about him at all. Just on Sophrinides, he was very unlucky. So I think this is his first season of VFL, but he actually got picked out of one of the country leagues late last year, and he actually trained for a play on spot for Collingwood and for Essendon, neither of which ended up taking him, but. To come from the country leagues and slot straight in, he looks outstanding. Him and that De Class was the other one who just tore us apart. They just seemed to be on the end of everything. Now the Hawks won all of the stats, but it was a really even contest statistically. The only ones that really stood out were the marks. We had 91 to 59 marks. And I think that was purely just to slow the game down, because the Hawks were running it hard, and they were getting easy shots close to goal, especially in that first half. And we also won the tackles 73 to 67. Pretty contested game, which you kind of expect when the wind is blowing round and round. The unpredictable nature of where the kicks are going is going to lead to that sort of contested style. What did you see in that aspect, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. I think that when they slowed it down and was a little bit more methodical and even getting used to conditions a little bit, they could not surgically, but develop avenues to to get the ball to the ball handlers and the carriers to get it up forward quickly, because Jed was on a heater, and you had Brando down there having a go as well, which was really exciting to see him down there sort of stirring them up a bit and putting that pressure as well on their backs was excellent in the second half. So, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. You've got, like you said, the Hawks just came. Oh, well, I said the Hawks just came out in that first 25 and just went bang, and they made it their duty to get out there and really, really put up the tempo and made the Devils chase a tail. And when you're chasing tail, it's really, really hard to come back and win.
What is it about terrible, terrible football conditions that makes Brandon Leary go, do you know what? I'm going to sit on someone's head today. Because he took another absolute specky. I loved it. We love it.
Yeah. I've got some early news. So Brando is actually coming on to the show next week, which is going to be super exciting.
Huge.
So you can ask him that question yourself.
I absolutely will be asking him that question. So, definitely tune in next week. That's massive news that we've got Brandon Leary. He's probably the biggest name we've had on the takeover. So, it'll be great to have a chat with the great man. Well, yeah. Buddy, you played a couple of senior games for Signet. I barely scratched the reserves. So, talking to anyone who can actually kick a footy is above what I was able to put together in my illustrious career.
Just keep on kicking, mate. You'll be right.
All right, let's move on now, mate, to our bets.com.au man of the match. All right, and the man of the match could only be one man after this game. He was an absolute machine. Jed Hagen had one of his best games for the Devils, I reckon. 22 disposals, 17 kicks, 3 goals, 10 tackles, Fred. 10 tackles. Yep. If he wasn't kicking goals, he was setting them up. He was just a man on a mission this game. I don't know what it was about the northwest coast that suited Jed Hagen. I think he's a West Australian native, so maybe being on the west was what suits him best. But he was awesome. How did you see Jed's game?
Yeah, he played a really good forward role. He was everywhere that he needed to be. He was putting high amount of pressure. He has been a little bit off in the last couple of weeks, I think. As in, he's not producing what we all know he can produce, and him to get this game under his belt and get that confidence is really good to see. I really liked his forward craft all round, because he was trying everything in his power to wheel that team back into, trying to win the game for us, and he was trying everything possible. And there was, I think, you correct me if I'm mistaken, he had a shot at goal and he tried to pass one off at one stage where he had every right to just have a ping at it. It was probably a bit of a mistake from his half here, but he was just trying to do the right thing, which he did a lot of during the game. So it was good on to Jed. It was good to see that.
It was one of those games where those little missed opportunities really cost the Devils. Obviously, the final shot on goal by Kai Cameron comes to mind, kicking into that breeze where the ball was just going everywhere. You can't blame Kai for that. Aiden Begg missed a very simple shot in the third quarter, which ultimately came back to bite us. It just seemed like little moments to capitalise on the hard work went begging a bit. And despite the efforts of Jai Menzie and Jed Hagen late in the game, weren't able to get it done. But Jed was absolutely phenomenal. He was an absolute star.
Yeah, he was excellent. And yeah, it just shows that, like I keep banging on about it. Really got to stop doing it. But the efficiency and taking your chances when your chances are coming is the most important thing in a game of football. And I think that, you got to bite off a few chances every now and then to come back into the game, and that's fair enough, especially when you're down by 30 odd points. I mean, they done that and it was working, 75% of the time. And unfortunately, when we're in front of goal, especially Aiden Begg's one, I don't like to point it out, but, that's when you got the breeze behind you and you're right in front, you don't have to kick it at all. You just lay it up there and let the wind take it. And hopefully it just sails through. I just think he just tried to kick it too much.
How did you see his game, Fred? I thought he was a bit touch and go, but as the game went on, he had more and more impact and was putting himself in some good positions.
Yeah, well, he's just come. He hasn't been playing VFL. He's been playing for another league. So obviously the speed and that he was trying to get used to. And I think you, as a first gamer and coming back into the VFL picture, you're going to have to expect that he's going to be a little bit choppy. I'll use the word. Other than that, I did see some glimpses where I go, oh, this is what he's all about. So hopefully, just like Cam Owen, give him 3 2-3 weeks. I'm going to say 3 to 4, probably 4 to 5 to be quite fair, because he's not used to the speed of the game yet. But yeah, 4 to 5, I reckon we'll be sitting back and going, oh, this combination between Owen and Begg is a really good combination, and it gives us another dimension on how we play the game as well, I think. So it's really exciting to see, and I'm actually really excited for it because I wanted to see 2 ruckmen on our team, because you got 5 on the bench, you may as well have 1 as a ruckman, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one ruck tap in particular that I remember, and he sort of reached all the way back. The ball had gone past him, but he managed to get a hand on it from way back here and get it to the feet of the Devils players, and that was what stuck out to me, is that this guy's going to be able to do things that other people can't. So I'm really looking forward to Beggy, getting up to speed. I don't think it'll take him 5 weeks. I reckon 2 or 3 weeks once he's in the system. A bit like Cam Owen, it only took him 2 or 3 weeks coming off his big injury. I reckon we'll start to see the best of him.
Yeah, I agree with how athletic he is. He's incredibly athletic. He's got basketball type athletic ability.
Absolutely. Honourable mentions this week: Zach Adams, 24 possessions, 11 marks. He was outstanding. He was really, really good. Geordie Payne, 22 possessions, 8 marks, and of course Nick Williams, who we spoke about up the top, who only had the 16 possessions, but was really in the game a lot more than it felt. All right, let's move on now to our Under the Radar. And this one might be a bit of a surprise to you this week, Fred, but I have put Maddox, the Mad Dog, I'm calling this guy, Iverach. Your Mad Dog Iverach, who he's not going to jump off the stat sheet. He kicked 2 goals, 2. And I from only 7 or 8 possessions. But I just thought, when the Devils needed a spark, when it was evident that Hugh Dixon was having a bit of an off day, I thought Maddox really stood up and kicked a couple of really important goals when we needed it. And I think these Gold Coast Academy kids are just starting to show that they've got something. Fred, our boy Bickies had another good game, and Mad Dog was also really influential. How did you see Maddox's game this week, mate?
Yeah, that was a good call under radar. He led up the ground and jumped at the ball with intent this week. He actually wanted to inject himself. I think he identified that Hugh was getting shut down a little bit, and he knew that he had to step up because he saw Jed going off his head, and he was excellent. And then, I think he was excellent. He really, really, really did play a good game. You can't fault him. Oh well, you can't really fault him because he done his job. He had 4 shots at goals, which is excellent. He took a few marks. You could see he was just competing, and if he wasn't in the position to take that mark, he would bring the ball to ground and let the crummers like Callanan and Brandon Leary and all them have a crack at it. So, yeah, he was really good. But in saying that, I would have liked to see Splan in there again this week. It would have been very interesting to have in there. Bit sad to see him go out because I was thinking big things for him. But yeah.
Yeah, we were singing his praises, but I guess with Aiden Begg and Kai Cameron coming back in, someone had to go out, and Siggins and Splan were the 2 that I identified. And you'd probably have Splan in the side ahead of Siggins at the moment, just based purely on form. If you ignore spiritual leadership and whatnot, which Sam Siggins brings in spades. You would say that Splan was probably ahead of him, but I guess they wanted to try out Beggy, and Kai Cameron is going to be a very good player. Yeah.
I think it'll come down to Splan, Siggins, and Kai Cameron. To be honest,
Yep.
I don't think they're going to rush with their decision when it comes to the pointy end of the season. I think they're going to let them loose in the local leagues first, and just to see if they can take a game by the scruff and really dominate a game. Now we know Siggins will probably do that, and that's for sure. I'll be interested to see Splan really have a hot game, like a real hot couple of games, and then get him back in there and let him do his thing.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Let's move on now to the votes. All right. I am currently in Melbourne. I've got a couple of commitments over here. I'll be going to the footy on Friday and Saturday night. So I haven't been able to do up the visuals this week if you are watching on the YouTube, but we can go through them anyway. I'll start with mine. 5 I gave to Jed Hagen. I gave 4 to Maddox, the Mad Dog Iverach. 3 votes to Zach Adams. 2 votes to Nick Williams and 1 vote to Geordie Payne. All players that we mentioned on the pod already. How did your votes look, Fred?
Yeah, 5 to Hagen, easily best on ground. I gave 4 to Adams. I actually thought he had a real impactful game. He had a few possessions. He had a lot of marks. He was really trying to inject himself in the game and helped out a fair bit. I had Geordie Payne with 3 votes. They threw him up forward. He was excellent. He was good at down back.
Didn't he provide something up forward?
Yeah, he really did. He did give him a bit of a headache there for a while, and he was excellent. Just purely, on the coach's decision to chuck him up forward and him to have that chuck him into a bit of panic mode, like that shows the quality of player he actually is and the impact he can have. I had Williams for 2 votes. We've talked about it. He was excellent. He was everywhere. He's really starting to put himself in those positions and really feel out the back line a bit better now. He can really get up the ground too, and I think he's got the tank to do that, get up and back. And I've given 1 to Chaplin because I actually think, like if they had spoil stats and all that, he would have had, over 10 good spoils, all these little sneaky hand passes and just doing all those little things that really, really, really helped him shut down his opposition and help out his team out there in the back line. So I actually thought he was really impactful, and it's good to have a couple of backliners in there for a change, I reckon.
Absolutely, I can't. Joey Chaplin was outstanding. He seemed to be doing the ball seemed to bounce back between Sophrinides and Chaplin to DeClass to Williams, and that's how it went. Sort of all game it was almost like there was only 4 blokes on the field at times. Joey Chaplin, outstanding game. Really, really happy you managed to get him in the votes.
Yeah, I actually think SEN gave him 2 votes as well. So it wasn't just me who spotted that out. He was excellent. I really, really enjoyed that game. And you can see that he really doesn't give a shit if he gets possessions or not. He just wants to be there to stop his opponent and help his team out. And I love that in a backman. If you can, if you've got a backman like that in your team, in your club, in your... Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if any type of backman like that, you're in for a good stead, because it really does open up a lot of other people to work around him.
He reminds me of probably could possibly be my favourite player of all time, Simon Prestigiacomo, who didn't care about getting possessions as long as his mate didn't get any either. He would just clamp down. Matthew Lloyd, Nathan Brown, they all had Jonathan Brown. They all had a nightmare on Presti, and I reckon Joey Chaplin's got a bit of Presti in him as well.
I think he's got a bit of Fletcher.
A bit of Dustin Fletcher.
Bit of Dustin Fletcher. Yeah. He's just like Dustin Fletcher, just loved punching the ball and spoils. And when he did get it, Joey's doesn't throw it and give it 80-metre torps, but like he does have that little bit of spring about him. And he's more than capable of being a really good ball handler and distributor too. So
absolutely.
Really
if you are listening, Joey, we would like to see an 80-metre torp just in the next game. If you get the opportunity to launch one, just give it everything. We've put the call out for you to kick more, and I think he got that message, because I've noticed he has been kicking a bit more of late. Joey Chaplin, if you're listening to the Devil's Den, please launch an 80-metre Dustin Fletcher type torp from fullback, or if you get on the wing, have a ping from the wing. That's what we want to see.
Please check with Jezza first, though. We don't want you getting dropped over our stupidity.
Coaching tips from the Devil's Den. We love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. Fred, we are very, very close to reaching our subscription goal. I think we're at 180, and I believe our goal was to hit that 200 by this week. We got the Gold Coast this week. It's either this week or next week, but we would love it if you made it this far in the podcast. If you would just hit that subscribe button, help us let you know when we've got an episode coming out, and you'll get notified of when we have big guests on, like Brandon Leary, Nelson Bykoff Smart, Zach Adams, Dan Cooney, who I think we cursed a little bit. We interviewed him, and he hasn't played since, which is an absolute tragedy, because he
shoulder injury,
him getting back in. That's right. He did injure himself after we put the mods on him.
He's like 4 to 6. He's out for. I sent him a message a couple of weeks ago. So he said it's not as bad as what they first thought, but he's come along all right.
Okay, that's good. That's another Devil's Den exclusive. Massive thanks to our sponsor, bets.com.au. If you are struggling to stop the gambling, there is help available. Give the National Gambling Hotline a call on 1-800-858-858. But if you're not struggling with it, maybe check out bets.com.au for all your betting advice and news articles. Fred, anything from you before we wrap it up?
No, just keep an eye out for more episodes. Give us a like and, rag on us if you want, because that just gives us more clout. So we don't mind.
Absolutely. If you like the show, tell a friend. If you don't like the show, tell your enemy. We don't mind who listens. All right, that is pretty much it from the Devil's Den. Thank you for listening, and as always, the map is back.